Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Marc Cameron.
Well, happy Monday and welcome to New Life Live. And we're going to be taking your calls for the next 2 hours today. So if you're struggling with a relationship issue, a mental health struggle, addictions, or another dilemma, you can give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. And today I'm joined by Dr. Jill Hubbard, who's a licensed psychologist, author, and speaker, and also Dr. Alice Benton, who's also a licensed psychologist, author, and speaker. And Alice, what's on your mind today?
Well, folks, we love it when you call us and challenge us with your questions. And one of you called in the other day asking what foods affect our mood. And I wanted to research the question more. I grew up with a very healthy mom who was pro-exercise, pro-healthy eating. I knew it was good for me, but why does what we eat affect our mood? So I delved into it a little bit more, and it has to do with blood sugar. The kinds of things that spike our blood sugar, we feel pretty good in the moment, even a little high from the food that we eat or the substances that we ingest. But then if it goes too high, there's a dip afterwards, and the dip always lasts longer than the high. So foods that spike blood sugar put us in a vulnerable position to be more irritable, depressed, anxious, and moody. And we see it more with folks that struggle with diabetes because the highs and lows are so extreme, and the rates of depression are higher in the population of folks with diabetes. And so to get a little bit more specific, we know that refined sugar, processed foods, caffeine, alcohol, and drugs all spike blood sugar. And the things that help to stabilize blood sugar, it's said that they have a low glycemic index, fiber, protein, and really the God-created, God-designed foods. Vegetables, leafy greens, all the things that you probably
not the fun
aren't
foods.
so interested in eating, but they stabilize blood sugar. And we know it's pretty hard to love and live out the Christian lifestyle when we're moody, when we're grumpy. And to know that there's something so simple that can help us stabilize our mood with what we put into our bodies, it's very effective. There are 3 other things in addition to diet that can help stabilize our brains. And brace yourselves because they're not fun, but it's good sleep. It's high-intensity interval training exercise, like sprint running or sprinting on a bicycle, sprinting in any kind of exercise, and getting good sunshine. And all 3 of those things affect mood. So if you feel like I can't do anything to change my mood, certainly we know there's history and there's deeper reasons and meaning of what you've experienced in your life, but it also has to do with what we are ingesting. And we can all make simple changes today to start feeling better.
Yeah, it's funny that these are all the things that generally we know, and if you go to the doctor will tell you these things, or your mom might tell you all these things, or your wife might tell you all these things. If you're me, recently I'd been having some AFib, and then my wife had been making me a green shake every morning with all of the leafy vegetables, and I definitely felt better. So.
Well, and I think this comes into play as we get older, right? Remember when I was younger, I lived on a cookie diet because I was going to eat cookies anyway, so just skip the other food, right? We can't do that anymore. We definitely need these things.
And there's biblical precedents for this. It comes maybe
For the
from
cookie diet?
Not
No,
the cookies, sorry, Jill.
Okay.
Wish I could say yes. Story of Daniel. They chose to eat what we've been talking about, and they got even stronger for it.
Yeah, and so, well, this whole high-low, it reminds me of people who get into relationships, and you're on the high, and then you get into the low, and no one gets into a bad relationship on purpose. But if you're in a bad relationship, if you are struggling today, if you've got something on your mind that you need help with, give us a call. We're here to answer your questions, 1-800-229-3000, and we're going to be right back after this break here.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. A lot of people are in bondage from past trauma that has created an emotional web that they don't understand, and it prevents them from being free. A person that loses their temper regularly is not emotionally free. Someone who has anxiety just to get in the car and leave the house is not emotionally free. And walking around with the shame from a childhood or even a bad relationship as an adult, that is not emotional freedom, and we can help you get there.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Intensive is Saturday, September 14th. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie Mack Harris will present information on the power of our emotions, procrastination, guilt and shame, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. This is Mark Cameron. And if you haven't listened to our New Life Live podcast, the Every Man's Battle podcast, it's hosted by JJ West, who's one of our co-hosts, and Doug Barnes. And we release a new episode every Monday. And today they're discussing the ways sexual acting out behavior impacts wives. So it's a great conversation. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts. And right now we're going to go to the phones. We're going to go to Jane, who's calling from Milan, Indiana, I think. And she was referred by a friend. Hi, Jane. You're live on New Life Live. How can we help you today?
My husband is talking to other women online. And I found this out several years. This has been going on since 2019. And I have always had a hard time dealing with this. So what is your suggestion on how I should deal with this?
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Jane. How long have you guys been married?
This past May, 43 years.
And have you addressed this with your husband?
Yes, I have told him several times. I said, you don't need me because you told these girls. One girl, it was from Ghana. He gave her $16,000. And he's giving these other women money because they have brainwashed him, talking that they need this money instead of them getting the money on their own some other way. He's giving them money. He even knocked us out of getting a loan for a house. Buy this property.
Jane, this is so destructive to your heart, to your finances, your marriage. We really feel for you that you are going through this. Is this a big change in character for him that it began in 2019? What has been different about him? Nothing justifies what he's doing, but give us some explanation.
Yeah, I just, it has caused a lot of resentment.
And Jane, what happened in 2019? What happened in your marriage? What happened to your husband? This is a big change in behavior, I believe, on his part.
Yeah. Yeah, I found this out when he was talking to this woman. He said, well, she's just another truck driver. Well, I found out that he lied to me.
And Jane, have either of you received help with this, professional help, counseling?
I have not been able to find anybody. So, yes, it would be nice to have help dealing with this because I don't really I feel like God don't want me to divorce him.
Okay.
But it's aggravating to still deal with this.
And do you two still live together?
Yes. We're not separated. We're not divorced. I just basically, I just try to get along with him.
Well, I'm glad you called in today, Jane. I mean, not only is this a betrayal for you, but it's also putting your finances at risk. So it's definitely something to be addressed.
Well, and Jane, it sounds like if your husband is a truck driver, and how old is your husband?
He's 64.
He's 64. And how old are you, Jane?
67.
67. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I'll be 67 in November.
Okay. Okay. And so he's a truck driver, so he's out on the road a lot, which often truck drivers get lonely. And, I'm just trying to think, why this would come about. But a lot of times people start reaching out when there's an unmet need or an unresolved conflict that they have, and someone that is far away and over, remotely, you can project a lot onto, a lot of fantasies, a lot of, it's like encapsulated from regular life. Whereas, he comes home and there are bills to pay and there's a long history there. But it is disturbing because he's connecting elsewhere instead of connecting with you. And I think it's important to let him know that you want to be the person he connects with and that how deeply this hurts you. Also, I agree. The fact that he's giving money away, I'm not sure what that's hooking into for him, but there's a lot of scams. We're hearing more and more how people who are older, who are on the internet talking to people, are getting scammed and are losing thousands of dollars. And that's what I'm hearing from you. I don't know if there is... if this can be reported or not. But I know that some people have had people intervene and they've been able to report the scams. And so that might be something to look into, to maybe talk with local police and see if there is a place to report. I haven't done the research on that, but that might be an option too. But I think, Jane, instead of just putting up and going along, I think it's really important that you find a different way to talk to your husband. And maybe that means bringing in a friend, bringing in someone else he trusts, and having some support so that he just doesn't shut you down.
Jane, would your husband be willing to go to counseling?
That has been an option. As in, like, are you talking that I go with him or he go by himself?
Well, I would see if you could go with him, but either one I think would be a good start.
Yeah, because I have all along have told him that I don't know if he would or not, but I have been upfront all along, told him this is how I feel about it. I don't beat around the bush. I just. I try to treat him like God would want me to. And I have oftentimes tell him, you don't need me. I mean, because you talk to these girls.
So you're feeling, Jane, unimportant, discarded,
right.
Unwanted. Yeah. I might switch that around and say, husband, what need are you getting met by doing this? What's going on inside of you that this is fulfilling? What's missing in our relationship that you're turning to this?
And Jane, if it's a major change, and if he was a decent man for the first 35 years of marriage, and now all of a sudden he's doing this, and it's outlandish behavior for him, then it's important to consider, has there been a medical change? Has there been a serious physical or emotional injury if this is not the man your husband was before? And when you try to point out truth, which is good and brave that you have been attempting that, and there's still no change on his part, then you need to change something about your behavior to protect yourself if he's not willing to stop. So as you're not quite sure, would he attend counseling or not, I propose you say something like this to him. I want our marriage. I love you. God and our covenant are all important to me. But the way things have been going is not working for me. And so I need us to get help. And I need you to be willing to get help with me for this to stop. I need to know if you're willing to put aside friendship with these other women and giving money to them because it doesn't feel safe for me in our marriage when that's happening. Will you get help? And if he says yes, take him up on that because therapeutic intervention may be sufficient to help him figure out why he's doing this and stop. If he won't get help, then you need to take another further step to protect yourself. That can involve a couple things. You'll probably need to consider putting some distance between you and him, whether that's physical or emotional distance or even a legal protective distance, by consulting with an attorney so that you can protect your finances. And I'm not talking about divorce here, but it may be necessary to have a legal separation if he won't get help and he won't stop giving away thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Now, what I'm saying might sound so difficult to do. It would be difficult for anybody to do. And so you probably need the support of a therapist as well to help you have the courage and to strategize how to implement the things that we're talking about. You said you couldn't find a counselor. We have a whole network of counselors, Jane, that we can connect you with so that you can have someone come alongside and walk you through what we're proposing. How are you feeling hearing what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm glad to talk to you guys because, you know, something's got to give, and he claims these women, they need him because they can't find decent men. But I don't buy that.
You know, I'm thinking too, maybe a place to start is having a physical with a medical doctor. Especially like you're saying, Alice, if there has been a change, what has changed? So sometimes we have to start medically and see, because this is certainly a slip in judgment on his part that he would get sucked in to a scam and be irresponsible with your finances.
Yeah, as we get older, sometimes it's just a good idea just to have a regular checkup, just physically, not just emotionally like we're talking about here, but also physically and mentally, because things change inside of us, and sometimes it shifts in a way that we're not really quite aware of. So this is great advice that you guys are giving. It's going to take a lot of vulnerability here, Jane, to do some of the things that Alice and Jill are saying, to be able to talk about, you know, your vulnerable emotions here, and also to be able to invite him to share with you how his thoughts on the marriage and things that he may not be receiving here. So hang on the line. We will get you connected to therapists in our network of counselors here, and we are going to send you the book, Take Your Life Back. And give us a call back again and let us know how things are going in a few months here after you get connected with someone, and we'll see. We'd love to hear an update here. We're going to go back to the phones here. We're going to go talk to Tony, who's in Boston, Massachusetts. She listens on WEZE. Tony, how can we help you today?
Yes, how are you?
We're doing well. How are you doing, Tony?
Oh, so.
What's going on?
I have my husband. I've been married for 17 years. I do not love him. I don't have any feeling for him. I don't know how to love him.
What's happened, Tony?
I found underwear in his pocket. When I supported him, he swear he doesn't know about that.
When was this, Tony?
Years ago.
Years ago, okay.
I don't know anything. I cannot catch him. I don't know if he's cheating. You know, obviously he's cheating because that's not my underwear.
Right.
Obviously he's cheating, but you cannot catch him.
Tony, what a horrific discovery, and that he's been denying it. It's truly crazy making, and you can start to feel crazy as you look for it. Where's the evidence? Is he being faithful? Is he not being faithful? Oh, Tony, would you tell us about what support have you gotten over these years, wondering if your husband is unfaithful or not? What support is there around you, Tony?
Zero. Whenever I told him something, he put it back on me. If I said, oh, you wake up, you don't say good morning, he say, oh, why don't you say good morning? If I said, you don't kiss me, he said, why don't you kiss me too? If I said, you look good, you don't tell me that I look good, he say, oh, why don't you tell me that too? You know, you always put it on me. Oh, I don't know. He's a good person, but no intimacy. I do not love him.
So,
He does.
so Tony, did the not loving him start when you found the underwear?
Yes. It's like he's
Yeah.
sneaky. He's sneaky.
So you shut down your heart to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you were so hurt.
Sometimes you had people been together for 40, 70 years. You know, it's 70 years hell. Women are wicked. Women don't have the power to just leave a relationship. But men do whatever they want. You know, it's hard
So
for
you're
us.
you're stuck with him and you're hurting, and he's hurting your heart every day.
Well, Tony, you hear the music here. We're going to have to go to a break, so we're going to come back right on the other side here. But on August 10th, you got a rare chance to learn directly from JJ West on the online version of Every Man's Battle Workshop. It's the last time in 2024 to attend, so don't miss this opportunity.
I am the firstborn of a functional alcoholic. I lost my dad to a murder-suicide. And I now, behind me in my early 60s, have 4 failed marriages. I made choices in men of people I thought I could fix. They all had some type of addiction, sexual, prescription drug addiction. And I have learned so much by finding New Life over the last 10 or so years. I eventually became a Club New Life member. And I cannot say enough good things about all that you all do and the counselors that you have. Everyone is just absolutely wonderful. I have purchased your materials for use in topical Bible studies with women. I have given them as gifts and have told people to tune in. And I just think that this is just such a blessing what you all do, and it's such a help to so many people.
To make your tax-deductible gift, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. That's NLM to 28950. Dr. Heidi Summers on coaching.
A lot of people don't understand the difference between counseling and coaching. Coaches can help you with strategizing. Not everyone is in a crisis or recovering from a trauma. A lot of people just need help getting to where they want to be, and they don't know how to do that. And so it's helpful to have a third party come in to give objective feedback, set goals, create accountability, and help you walk out what your goals actually are.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been screened and certified with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches are intended to help you live in the present and goal set toward what it is you want for the future.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. I'm Marc Cameron. I'm joined by Dr. Alice Benton and Dr. Jill Hubbard, and we've been talking with Tony. Unfortunately, we lost connection here with Tony, but she has been married for 17 years, and she's lost trust and the feeling of love with her husband. She found underwear in his pocket, and he has been denying. And she said that every time she confronts him, he turns it back against her, which is actually quite a common reaction that people would do. There's an acronym called DARVO, which stands for Deny, Attack, and then Reverse the Victim and Offender Order. And it's a way to really do a smoke screen, to take the focus off of what you've been doing and kind of throw this smoke bomb up and say, hey, well, what about you? Alice, what are your thoughts here for Tony? I'm sure she's still listening here.
Well, the important thing to do is to not get caught up in an argument about what is true and what is not true, especially with a person who seems to be in great denial and is just sidestepping and avoiding what took place and might still be taking place. And instead, Tony, you have to identify what you need and what you will be asking of your husband. Now, you already said you don't love him anymore, and so I'm not sure if you want to stay in this marriage. And unfortunately, an affair, which it may be a sign of, underwear in his pocket, what else is it going to be a sign of? an affair with somebody who is unrepentant and does not want to change, doesn't want to get help, there is biblical permission to leave a marriage. And we don't think that should be the first step, because first we have to find out, do you want our marriage? Will you get help? I'm not going to argue anymore about what is and isn't going on. But I do need to know, are you going to go to counseling? Are you going to go, husband, to every man's battle? Does our marriage mean enough for you to save our marriage? I'm not going to get into an argument about it, but this is what I need to know. And his answer to that question, his willingness to get into help, should determine whether or not you have to proceed towards a divorce. But again, a divorce is down the road a bit, because, Tony, it's good to make sure you're getting your own help so that you're not making an impulsive decision out of pain. We often regret those later, but rather that you're going through the scaffolding of requests and boundaries so that you're putting an emotional and physical, sometimes legal space between you and your husband if he continues in a lack of repentance and denial, for you to protect your heart. And if he will not participate in any of that and you never see remorse, then a legal separation should be considered and potentially a divorce. But the scaffolding takes place first because it's biblical to give warnings, to ask for things. And if there's no repentance, then God wants us to protect our hearts and our bodies.
That's great advice. What would you add, Jill?
And Tony, you say that you don't love your husband, and yet you admitted that when you found the underwear, your heart shut down. And I think it's really important to remember that, especially we women, our feelings, our love is very fluid. It comes and it goes. And it's often based on, do we feel safe? Do we feel protected? Are we in a trusting situation? And so immediately when you saw this, you went into protective mode. And so often couples over the years, when they have unresolved conflicts, both go into protective mode, and each person is in their corner and they're thinking about themselves. So then you get into these arguments like you were talking about, Mark, where it's like, well, what about you? Well, what about you? And both people are at a stalemate in that protective mode. And so, Tony, I think it's important to remember that love feelings can come and go. You said he is a good person. Okay, well, that's something to work with. That's something to start with, and to even tell him that you believe that about him, and that people make mistakes, and that you believe that maybe he's an imperfect person who made a mistake. And what's most important is that you guys find a way to reconnect and work on your difficulties with intimacy, because you both are protecting yourselves and you're not open to each other. Now, I understand it's not safe, and that's where you need people to help you. You also sounded like you feel really powerless as a woman, and as if men have all the power. Well, part of getting your power back and being an equal adult in this relationship is that you need to get support around you. So, as has already been mentioned, let's get you into some therapy. We've got a Restore workshop that's a little ways down the road, but that would be 1st. That would be something to be planning for. And let's shore you up so that you understand kind of what your rights are, what power you do have, because usually we women have more power with men than we think, right? And that we do matter.
And I want to just speak briefly to these husbands that we're talking about, because I've never heard one of your stories without thinking, I could see why you got to the place of falling into and choosing infidelity. You have your own story of pain that led you to horrible choices that are destructive to your marriage, but you are not too far gone. Don't let the shame claim you and your marriage. We can help you too when we want to. These things are resolvable. There is redemption for you too. Give us a call as well.
Yeah, and that's a big difference between being a good person and an honorable person.
Yes.
And, I love what you're saying here, Alice, because there is a way out. People get stuck, and then it's like a web, and they just don't see a way out. And we have resources to help you. As I mentioned, the Every Man's Battle workshop, it's the online version. I think it's the only time we're doing the online version before the end of the year. It's one day, and we have actually extended our early bird rate to Friday, August the 3rd. So you can stay here. It's one day online, no travel, no hotel to go to. Very, very easy to do. For you, Tony, it's going to take a lot of strong boundaries here, as Alice and Jill are saying. And so we're going to send you Intimate Deceptions, written by our very own co-host here, Dr. Sherry Keffer. And that's going to have some really good information to help you hold these strong boundaries. We're going to be right back taking more calls here in a minute.
I'm addicted to oxycodone. I've been on oxycodone almost 3 years.
Addiction affects millions of people every year.
I've been on it for a long time, and I need to get off.
New Life can connect you with some of the finest Christian inpatient treatment programs in the country that work with people from all backgrounds and beliefs.
First it was for back pain, and I was on it for a long time. And then I currently just had shoulder surgery.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction to illegal or prescription drugs, alcohol, or dealing with an eating disorder, it's time to seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers all around the country.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or visit us online at newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. I'm Mark Cameron. I'm here with Dr. Jill Hubbard and Dr. Alice Benton. And you might be listening live on the radio here, but you may not know that we also have a New Life app that you can download and you can listen to us anytime. So you don't have to listen to us live. But if you are listening to us live, we're here for the remainder of the hour and for another hour recording another show after this that will play on a different day. But it's 1-800-229-3000 if you want to call in. And right now we're going to go and talk to Susan, who's called in. She is calling from San Francisco, California, and she listens on YouTube, which is another great way to listen. Hi, Susan. How can we help you today?
Hi. Hi. So I'm friends with the family. Sorry. Excuse me. There was a call on Friday morning, just this past weekend, that I received, and was a 16-year-old. Her mom told her to call me. The issue is she ran away from her adopted family and has stated that there has been some physical and some psychological abuse. My fear for the child is that if I call the police to let them know, I'm afraid that when they go to the adoptive mom's house and they see that there's water running and there's food in the fridge and everything looks fine, that they would make the 16-year-old go back. And so there has been a report already to the Child Protective Services. My question is, they call me often. This family has gone through a lot of things, and they've called me often. And I just don't know, and I hurt with them, and I don't know what to do, and I'm afraid to call the police because they've also have had a recent suicide in their family, and she has said that she'd rather die than to go back into that home. There is a 12-year-old sibling that is still in that adoptive home. My fear is just because the law enforcement have to stick to the law, and they're not skilled or specialized for mental health, or I just don't know what to do here, and we're all kind of a little lost.
Yeah, I'm glad you're calling in, Susan. It sounds like you've got a real heart to help this family. And when there are adoptive families, they need people around them. They need the community too. It's too much for just one family to handle. So it sounds like CPS has already been called. But your hesitation is to call the police. Sometimes having more calls can be better because that can show that there's urgency in here. But there's not just the police that you could call. There's also you could also make another call back to CPS and make another report, and maybe that escalates things a little bit.
Yeah, I'm wondering why you feel like that the police need to intervene. And also, Susan, you are friends with the adoptive family?
No, with friends with the biological family.
Oh, okay. I was unclear about that. Okay, so with the biological family, but this child was adopted older in life, or?
It was through the foster situation. Biological mom had struggled with drugs and lost custody, and so they were placed in foster home.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
And are you hearing about the abuse from the bio mom or from the 16-year-old?
I'm hearing it from bio mom. After I hung up with the 16-year-old, bio mom texted me and informed me more as to why they had her call me, because she had mentioned she'd rather die than to go back into the home. And so the bio mom was able to express a little more details of what has happened in the home.
Mm-hmm. And bio mom, is she working at regaining custody? Like, is this a temporary adoption situation?
No, no, ma'am. She is going through programs because she just had another child, and so she's still in rehab and rehabilitating herself, and so still drug testing and those types of things.
So this kid has been through a lot.
Unfortunately, way too much than I would ever want anyone.
Way too much. No wonder why she ran away. Right?
Yeah.
None of the adults in her world have been safe.
Yeah, and the police are usually involved for emergency response, and so it sounds like maybe you're considering calling them because she's run away. Maybe you know where she is, and I have encountered police officers who are just very aware of resources in the community. So. It's not, I wouldn't say necessarily that you would get a negative response by calling the police, but I do think if there's some kind of emergency or urgent situation, or you think she may be in danger, that's the fastest way to get help to somebody.
Sure. Yes, 911 is the fastest. There is also in California a 211 number. I haven't had the best luck with it, but it is supposed to be a community resource system, and you could certainly call it and talk with someone and try to get some other resources. But I think also calling CPS again, Mark, like you suggested, because that creates a paper trail, and that then can be helpful. They're more apt to intervene. And
my concern is if she's saying that I'd rather die to go back than go back. There is something also called the PET team, the psychiatric evaluation team, and they are also emergency responders, and they typically come out same day within a few hours. And so that's another good resource.
Right.
Susan, we want to take the burden of responsibility off you because you really can't. You don't have the resources to determine the safety level of the adoptive home. And it's not your job to do, but you are helping, which they absolutely need. It's so good that you are intervening. But allowing authority figures to come in and to do that more detailed work to figure out where should she be. I'm sorry to say I have to question whether or not the biological mom can be fully trusted. She has motives in this. I hope she's in sobriety, but I would question that given her history. It doesn't mean it's not true or there's not some truth to what she said. But again, you can't be the one to determine that. So I know it feels like you'll be causing problems if you involve more authority figures. And all these systems we're talking about, they are imperfect, absolutely. But part of it is allowing our imperfect system to go in to to do the necessary evaluation to determine what should happen next. So I suggest trying to find out if she has a social worker or if she did previously, because she certainly would have in the foster care system, and she probably knows who that is. Getting the social worker involved and making additional calls to Child Protective Services, because even if you were the one that called before, you might have new information now. They'll take as many reports as we're willing to give them, and then they can go in with greater expertise to determine where the truth lies.
Well, and also, this 16-year-old, she's been through a lot of trauma, and so even her report isn't 100% reliable. And so I know you have fears about the adoptive family, but I think getting the 16-year-old the support and people that can come alongside her is really important.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys bring this up, because oftentimes kids who are adopted or in the foster system, I should say, especially if their parents are still available and they see them, they're so desperate to get back to their parents that they're not very good judges of their own safety. And so, they can lie at times.
Kids they'll lie and they'll call the police and say, I'm being abused, when it's actually maybe just boundaries are being set, right?
Correct.
A parent says no. Now, I'm not doubting that maybe it's more than that, but at the same time, these things happen.
Susan, every time I've had to make a report, I feel horrible and guilty, and I think, am I causing this family more problems by sending people into their home? And it is possible that it is adding to the problem. It's certainly disrupting the situation more. But usually situations like this need disruption in order to get to a better position of healing. And so it is right. It is right to make further reports so that clarity can be gained.
Okay. And if I can say this too, the fear of calling the cops, when the adopted family woke up, they realized that she had ran away, and so the cops were called and sent directly to biological mother's residence, because that's what the assumption was. And so the cops got there, and so that's where it all started. My fear is to expose to where the 16-year-old is at, because I know she's in a safe place. My fear is that, they do think that she is a teenager that is upset with the proper boundaries and is making maybe, and that's the fear of it's not. And the fear is that they will think that it is, and they will make her go back to the home and then abuse with.
This is a tricky situation because you have information that you're withholding, but at the same time, you're not obligated to give it. So I think you've got to decide if you're going to be in or you're going to be out of this situation. If you're going to be out, then you're under no obligation here. But if you're going to be in, you have to consider what the ramifications of withholding that information from the police are. So carefully consider that, please, Susan. I'm going to send you How We Love Our Kids. I just think it's a great opportunity to promo that book. It's a fantastic book on how to engage kids and help them understand what's going on inside them emotionally, and to explore and engage them in conversations here. So thanks for calling, Susan. We're going to go to a break here, take some more calls. We'll be right back.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022, That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. I'm Mark Cameron here. And I just want to put out a thank you to our Club New Life members. Club New Life is a program where you can regularly give to us. And those folks really just kind of help support our ministry here, and they allow people to get scholarships. They can supplement other resources to be sent to others. And you don't have to be a Club New Life member to donate to us. You can do a one-time giving too. And actually, if you give, there's a few days left in this promo that we're doing, but we're going to send you a copy of Dr. Henry Cloud's new book, Why I Believe, as a thank you for your gift of $25 or more. We're going to go back to the phones here, and we're going to talk to Christine, who's listening in Dallas, Texas on KWRD. Hi, Christine. You're live on New Life Live. How can we help you today?
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I've really struggled with this. Oh, goodness. I'm going to start crying. Me and my husband have been together since we were 19. And we're both 51. And it's been a great relationship. We have never been married. We have 3 beautiful kids, 2 grandchildren, and everything's been great. But then I have suffered some significant losses and started drinking heavily. And I've been in a hospital near death 4 times. Oh. And I know it's affected him and it's hurting him. And now I think that while I was in the hospital trying to get myself better, he had another woman at my house, a younger woman. And he's never put anybody before me. And they're trying to convince me that I'm crazy and I'm delusional and it's brain damage.
Who's they, Christine?
Pretty much everybody. My daughter, this person, I don't know her personally. My kids, and I know it's not me. Because I'm too headstrong. I just want my husband back. And,
of course.
But I can't go to rehab because if I leave him for more than a couple of days, then what's going to happen? I can't work on me if I'm worried about him.
Right, that makes sense. Christine, because it sounds like everybody is believing that there's nothing going on, who have they explained this younger woman to be?
I found information online. I have a networking degree and I have a programming. I know a lot about computers, so I was able to find a bunch of stuff, hidden messages and pictures and.
But who have your kids or your husband explained her to be? You said you came home, there's a younger woman there. Who have they said that she is? Is she a friend?
No such person.
Okay.
No such person. But I think she's a friend of my daughter's.
And Christine, as you so humbly acknowledge your alcohol use, you can't go to rehab. I get why. How are you doing with your sobriety? How long have you been sober?
I just got out of the hospital 3 days ago.
Are you 3 days sober?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
But it was a rough 3 days.
Okay.
Sure.
So, Christine, I believe you have found evidence, and it means something. You have found evidence Now, you cannot trust your brain right now. It doesn't mean the evidence isn't true. It doesn't mean there's not an affair going on. But what it means is you don't have enough time sober yet to know if you can trust your brain. Can you receive that from me right now?
Yes, but the last 2 times I got out of rehab, like after 2 or 3 days, then all of a sudden these quote-unquote demons show up. And really, it's honestly, I'm a very smart person. Yes, maybe some was delusional, but I think it was all set up. Because it was the same exact situation the second time,
Christine,
not the first 2 times.
We believe in spiritual warfare as well. I know that the demonic is active, and it may very well be that your husband is having an affair. And we know we got to get you sober so that you can think clearly and rely on your judgment. What's your question for us with such a complicated situation you're facing?
I mean, the good thing about it, real quick, is that it turned me to studying my Bible every morning. I've been doing it for over 2 years now. And worshiping. I've always been a believer in God. I've always been a Christian child. But I don't know what to do. I want him back, but I don't know how to get him back.
Are you going to AA meetings?
I haven't had a chance, no.
Okay. You know that's where you need to get. And you need to get a sponsor, because no matter what's happening with his fidelity, if you want your husband back, you got to clean up your side of the street. And that's the process. You don't have to go to rehab necessarily, but I do want you to be careful. If you've had very heavy alcohol use, it can be very medically risky to go through detox, but you got these 3 days clean. But if you go from heavy use to suddenly stopping again, you can be putting your life in jeopardy. So with these 3 days sober, you got to get to meetings every single day.
And then, whenever I was finally getting sober for 3 months, it seemed like there was always a bottle of alcohol sitting somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, temptation is just everywhere.
It is.
I mean, but it was on purpose.
That's part of the setup, that they're setting you up to keep you stuck in your alcoholism. Okay, I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's money missing out of my bank accounts, and I'm the one supporting everybody. I'm the one with money, and it feels
so
like...
Christine, you admitted to heavy alcohol use, and one of the things that we know goes along with that is obsessional thinking. So whatever you are obsessed on, it's hard to let go of that. And now it's your husband. And again, like Alice said, we're not doubting any of your findings. The hard part is, if you continue down this path, then your family is going to continue in terms of saying mom isn't okay. And the best bet you have is not the funnest thing, but it's what Alice is talking about. And here's the thing, too. With heavy alcohol use, it's really common to hear voices, to have delusions, to have hallucinations, and they can last up to a year after you are sober. And so it's something to be praying against, but it's something to be really aware of. And so it's really important that, again, like Alice said, that you get clean and are doing a consistent program. If you spend your time going down these trails of looking for evidence, it is going to cause you to spiral, and I believe send you back into drinking.
You almost have to put blinders on right now to your husband, and you have to put all that energy and attention into getting sober and getting your own help, because then you'll have the clarity to know what to do about whatever he's up to.
Well, and it'll give you people who can support you. So you can go to a meeting and you can tell them all this stuff, and you can get us.
If you're willing to go.
Christine, if you feel like you're not safe in your home because you think they're putting temptations everywhere, then you might consider a shelter for a time, a women's shelter for a time, so you have a safe
sober
place.
living community.
Great idea, yes.
Sober living communities are designed to support you in your health, and it would also show your family that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get healthy,
which gives you the best chance of saving your marriage.
Yes.
Oh, Christine, it's a hard situation you're in. We thank you for calling. I agree with you ladies here. I definitely think you need to prioritize your healing here, Christine, so that you can make the best choices for you once you're thinking clearly. We're going to send you Every Believer's Thought Life by our very own Steve Otterburn, and we're here for another hour. So if you're on the phone, hang on the line here. We'll get to you. 1-800-229-3000 is the number here. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.